Hello and welcome to another episode of Current Affairs MCQ. Let us look at the previous day's question. Consider the following statements regarding the Members of Parliament Local Area Development Scheme. 1. It is implemented by the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, and the MP Lads Fund is a non-lapsable fund in nature. 2. Each Member of Parliament is allocated Rs 5 crore per year, released in 2 equal installments to district authorities. 3. Nominated MPs can recommend works in any district of any state or union territory in the country. How many of the statements given above are correct? A. Only 1. B. Only 2. C. All 3. D. None. The correct answer is option C. The Member of Parliament Local Area Development Scheme, launched in 1993, is a central sector scheme under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation that allows Members of Parliament to recommend development works in their constituencies, focusing on durable community assets based on local needs. This fund is non-lapsable and can be carried forward if not utilized in a given year. Hence, statement 1 is correct. Each MP is allocated Rs 5 crore per year since 2011-12, released by MOSPI to district authorities in 2 equal installments of Rs 2.5 crore. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Rajya Sabha MPs may recommend works in any districts of their state of election, while nominated MPs can choose any district in any one state of the country. Hence, statement 3 is correct. Hence, option C is the correct answer.
Welcome, SSC aspirants. Drishti SSC is here to support you every step of the way. With free live classes, previous year questions, PYQs, demo classes, exam notifications, and strategy videos. Whether you're starting your journey or looking to refine your preparation, we've got you covered. Subscribe to our channel and stay updated with all the resources you need to crack your SSC exams. For more details, call us at 8750187501.
Moving on to the first question. Consider the following statements regarding India-Oman relations. 1. The India-Oman Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement covers trade in goods and services but excludes areas like intellectual property rights. 2. Oman is India's largest export destination among the Gulf Cooperation Council countries. 3. India and Oman elevated their relationship to a strategic partnership in 2025. How many of the statements given above is or are correct? A. Only 1. B. Only 2. C. All 3. D. None. The correct answer is option D. India and Oman concluded the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement to boost trade and investment, covering goods, services, and broader economic cooperation, including intellectual property rights and trade facilitation. Hence, statement 1 is not correct. Oman is the third largest export destination among the Gulf Cooperation Council countries for India, following UAE and Saudi Arabia. Hence, statement 2 is not correct. Diplomatic relations were established in 1955, which were upgraded to strategic partnership in 2008. However, India-Oman CEPA is concluded in 2025. Hence, statement 3 is not correct. Hence, option D is the correct answer. Question 2. Dhiryo, recently seen in news, is A. A traditional bullfighting event in Goa linked to post-harvest celebrations. B. A traditional boat race held in Kerala during Onam festival. C. A dance festival in Nagaland celebrated with flamenco performances. D. A kite flying competition held in Rajasthan during Makar Sankranti. The correct answer is option A. Dhiryo or Dhiri bullfighting is a traditional bullfighting event in Goa from the Portuguese era in which 2 specially bred and trained bulls engage in a contest of strength. It differs from the Spanish bullfighting as it involves no matadors or ritual killing. It is held in paddy fields or football grounds during village feasts or post-harvest celebrations. It was banned by Bombay High Court in 1997 under the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act 1960. The HC decision was upheld by the Supreme Court in 1997. Hence, option A is the correct answer. Question 3. With reference to the Fast Track Special Court Scheme, consider the following statements. 1. It functions under the Ministry of Law and Justice and is funded through the Nirbhaya Fund to ensure speedy trial of rape and child sexual abuse cases. 2. Under the POCSO Act 2012, special courts are required to complete trials within 1 year from the date of taking cognizance of the offence. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 only, B. 2 only, C. Both 1 and 2, D. Neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer is option C. The Fast Track Special Court Scheme, launched in 2019, is a centrally sponsored initiative under the Ministry of Law and Justice. It is funded through the Nirbhaya Fund to set up FTSCs for the speedy trial of rape and child sexual abuse cases. Hence, statement 1 is correct. The Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act 2012 mandates special courts to conclude trials within 1 year from the date of taking cognizance of the offence. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Hence, option C is the correct answer. Question 4. With reference to the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Centre, consider the following statements. 1. It is an independent nodal agency under the Department of Space to promote and regulate private sector participation in space activities. 2. It is responsible for building launch vehicles and satellites, sharing ISRO facilities, and setting up new space infrastructure for non-governmental entities. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 only, B. 2 only, C. Both 1 and 2, D. Neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer is option C. Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Centre is a single-window, independent nodal agency under the Department of Space that enables and regulates private sector participation in satellites, launch vehicles, and space services. Hence, statement 1 is correct. InSpace is responsible for promoting, authorizing, and supervising space activities by non-governmental entities, including building launch vehicles and satellites, providing space-based services, sharing DOS or ISRO facilities, and setting up new space infrastructure. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Hence, option C is the correct answer. Question 5. Consider the following statements regarding the Judge Advocate General in the Indian Army. 1. JEG officers are commissioned combatants who provide legal advice on military law, operational matters, and disciplinary issues under the Army Act 1950. 2. Under the Army Act 1950, women are not eligible to join the JEG branch. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 only, B. 2 only, C. Both 1 and 2, D. Neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer is option A. Judge Advocate General is the legal arm of the Indian Army, advising on military law under the Army Act 1950 and guiding commanders on operational, administrative, and disciplinary matters. JEG officers are commissioned combatants who can be deployed in combat supporting roles during wartime. Hence, statement 1 is correct. Under Section 12 of the Army Act 1950, women are eligible to join JEG. Hence, statement 2 is not correct. Hence, option A is the correct answer. Question 6. Consider the following statements. 1. Surcharge is earmarked for a specific purpose. 2. Cess and surcharge are included in the divisible pool of taxes shared with the states. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 only, B. 2 only, C. Both 1 and 2, D. Neither 1 nor 2. The correct answer is option D. Article 271 of the Indian Constitution empowers Parliament to impose a surcharge on certain taxes and duties for union purposes. This surcharge is in addition to the existing taxes and duties often referred to as a tax on tax. A surcharge is not earmarked for a specific purpose and can be used generally, while a cess is distinct from regular taxes as it is earmarked for a designated purpose. Hence, statement 1 is not correct. Both cess and surcharge are credited to Consolidated Fund of India and are not shared with the states. Hence, statement 2 is not correct. Hence, option D is the correct answer. Question 7. Which of the following statements regarding Mount Meru is not correct? A. Mount Meru is Tanzania's highest peak, surpassing Mount Kilimanjaro. B. The formation of Mount Meru happened after the formation of the Great Rift Valley. C. Mount Meru is a dormant stratovolcano located in Arusha National Park. D. In Hindu, Buddhist, and Jain cosmology, Mount Meru is regarded as the mythical sacred mountain at the center of the universe. The correct answer is option A. Mount Meru, standing at 4,566 meters, is the second highest peak in Tanzania after Kilimanjaro and the fifth highest in Africa. The formation of Mount Meru happened after the formation of the Great Rift Valley, when 1,000,000 years ago a volcano standing in this area lost its top in a massive explosion, giving it a distinctive horseshoe shape. Mount Meru, located in Arusha National Park, west of Kilimanjaro, is a dormant stratovolcano, a cone-shaped volcano composed of layers of lava, ash, and rock that is currently inactive but retains the potential to erupt in the future. In Hindu, Buddhist, and Jain traditions, Mount Meru is revered as a sacred mountain and regarded as the center of the physical, metaphysical, and spiritual universe. Hence, option A is the correct answer. Question 8. Consider the following chemicals. 1. Ammonium phosphate. 2. Phosgene. 3. Sodium bicarbonate. 4. Monoammonium phosphate. Which of the above are used as fire suppressants or retardants in firefighting? A. 1 and 2 only. B. 1, 2 and 3 only. C. 1, 2, 3 and 4. D. 3 and 4 only. The correct answer is option C. Fire suppressants or retardants function by cooling, smothering, or creating a barrier to prevent fire spread. Ammonium phosphate acts as a fire retardant by forming a protective layer on vegetation or combustible material, slowing combustion. Phosgene is a commercial fire retardant containing polymers, surfactants, and additives, reduces fire spread by coating fuel. Sodium bicarbonate is used in fire extinguishers. It cools the fire and reduces oxygen availability, helping to suppress flames. Monoammonium phosphate is found in dry chemical extinguishers. It smothers flames and slows combustion. Hence, option C is the correct answer. Question 9. Consider the following statements regarding taxation in India. 1. Progressive taxes are those in which the tax rate increases as the taxable income or wealth increases. 2. Indirect taxes are generally considered regressive in nature. 3. Direct taxes are imposed on goods and services rather than on income or wealth. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? A. 1 and 2 only. B. 1 and 3 only. C. 2 and 3 only. D. 1, 2 and 3. The correct answer is option A. Progressive taxes are those in which the tax rate increases as the taxable income or wealth increases. This ensures that individuals with higher incomes contribute a larger proportion of their earnings. Example, income tax and corporate tax in India. Hence, statement 1 is correct. Indirect taxes are generally considered regressive because they are levied on goods and services and are paid by all consumers regardless of income. Consequently, lower income groups spend a higher proportion of their earnings on such taxes compared to higher income groups. Example, GST, excise duty, and customs duty. Hence, statement 2 is correct. Direct taxes are levied on income, profits, or wealth, not on goods and services. Taxes on goods and services like GST and excise are indirect taxes. Hence, statement 3 is not correct. Hence, option A is the correct answer. Question 10. 7 Guiding Sutras for AI Adoption, which was recently seen in the news, is introduced by which of the following organizations? A. Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. B. Reserve Bank of India. C. National Institution for Transforming India. D. Data Security Council of India. The correct answer is option B. The Reserve Bank of India has released the Framework for Responsible and Ethical Enablement of Artificial Intelligence Committee report. It calls for 7 guiding sutras to promote responsible AI use in the financial sector, while balancing innovation and risk mitigation. 7 sutras for AI adoption. Trust is the foundation. Trust is non-negotiable and should remain uncompromised. Build AI systems that are reliable, transparent, and inspire public confidence. People first. AI should support human decision making but defer to human judgment and citizen interest, prioritizing welfare, dignity, and inclusion. Innovation over restraint. Encourage responsible innovation while avoiding unnecessary restrictions. Fairness and equity. AI outcomes should be fair and non discriminatory. Accountability. Accountability rests with the entities deploying AI and clearly defined responsibilities for AI decisions and their impacts. Now let us look at the practice question for today. Recently in news, Article 79 of Additional Protocol 1 to the Geneva Conventions deals with A. Protection of cultural property during armed conflicts. B. Special status of medical personnel in war zones. C. Measures for protection of journalists in armed conflicts. D. Prohibition of chemical weapons in warfare. Please provide your answers in the comment section.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.